So today we will talk about reverse bias. We will talk about reverse bias. We have studied that reverse bias is the process when the P side of our junction is connected to negative terminal of the battery and the N side of our junction is connected to positive terminal of battery. Now in this topic we are going to study reverse bias in detail. When we talk about the change in concentration of holes on N side, we say that delta Pn represents change in concentration of holes. Delta represents change, P represents hole, and N means N side. Okay, because we know that during reverse biasing the concentration of minority carriers are affected. So delta Pn will represent the change in concentration of holes on the N side. Similarly, delta Np represents change in concentration of electrons on the P side. Okay, this change in concentration is given as delta Pn equals to Pn multiplied by e raised to the power qv divided by kt minus 1. Similarly, your delta Np is given as Np multiplied by e raised to the power qv divided by kt minus 1. This q is our charge, again v is our bias voltage, this Pn and this Np is our concentration. Okay, this is our concentration of holes and concentration of electrons, and this is change in concentration. During reverse biasing we know that the reverse biasing voltage is minus Vr, so we can say that during reverse bias the value of V will be minus Vr. Putting the value of V equals to minus Vr in these two equations, we will get delta Pn equals to Pn e raised to the power minus qv divided by kt minus 1 qvr. Okay, and similarly delta Np will be equals to Np e raised to the power minus qv divided by kt minus 1. This thing. Now we know that the slope, that the graph of e raised to the power minus something is decreasing. This means that e raised to the power something will be 0. If e raised to the power minus something is 0, then we can say that the change in concentration, that is delta P of n, will be approximately equals to minus of Pn. Why? Because this term will become 0. If this term becomes 0, then Pn into minus 1 will become minus Pn. And similarly, delta Np will be approximately equals to minus of Np. Why? Because this term will become 0 and Np into minus 1 will become minus Np. So this will be our change in concentration. So for reverse biasing, the concentration of minority carrier reduces to 0 and the concentration will approach to negative at equilibrium. Okay, now there is some charge carriers which are generated in the reverse bias. We will call these charge carriers as excessive carrier concentration. Excess carrier concentration. Okay, the charge carriers which are generated during reverse biasing, they will be our excess minority charge carriers. The excess minority charge carrier concentration in P and N region is represented by, we will represent it. Okay, let me clear the board first. we will represent the excess minority charge carrier concentration as this is del n xp. Del n xp means excessive charge concentration of holes in n region. Okay, it will be given as change in concentration of electrons e raised to the power minus xp divided by ln, where ln is our diffusion length of the region, ln is the diffusion length of our n region. Now we have calculated the value of delta n. We have calculated the value of delta n is np. It is np multiplied by e raised to the power qv divided by kt minus 1. This is value of delta n. So we will use the value of delta n and then we will multiply minus xp divided by ln. Okay. Similarly, for our excessive carrier concentration of holes, we can say that excessive carrier concentration of holes will be delta p into e raised to the power minus xn divided by lp. Here lp will be our diffusion length of p side. Now we have calculated the value of delta p. The value of delta p becomes pn e raised to the power qv divided by kt minus 1. This was the value of delta n. So this was the value of delta p. And delta p have another thing, this thing in multiplication. So we will multiply this thing e raised to the power minus xn divided by L of p. So this will be our excessive minority carrier concentration of holes and this will be excessive minority carrier concentration of electrons. This will give us the excessive minority carrier concentration. Excessive means the carriers which are generated during reverse bias. Okay. So we will talk about our most important topic of reverse bias. It is breakdown. We will talk about breakdown. When we say that our junction is reverse bias, so when PN junction is reverse bias, a very small leakage current flows across the junction, and this leakage current is only due to the minority charge carriers. This leakage current is only due to the minority charge carriers, and this leakage current is also called reverse saturation current. We have studied this thing also, that this current is reverse saturation current. When this reverse saturation current is flowing through our PN junction and the reverse bias voltage is sufficiently large means this reverse bias voltage is equal to your breakdown voltage. At that time the reverse current will sharply increase and the junction will undergo breakdown. Like this. If this is our VI characteristic, I and V, during forward bias, this is our characteristic of forward bias because current increases linearly. But during reverse bias, first of all there is leakage current, and then suddenly after a voltage the current suddenly increases. At this voltage the junction undergoes breakdown, and this voltage is known as breakdown voltage. Okay, at this voltage, that is our breakdown voltage, the curve, this reverse bias curve appears at approximately 90 degree. Because see this thing, it is approximately 90 degree, so it seems that our curve is getting 90 degree at this breakdown. Okay, if this reverse bias is if this current is limited to some reasonable value, we can use the diode or PN junction in reverse bias also, because this current increases sharply, and on increasing reverse bias voltage this current will continue to increase. So it is necessary to limit this current. If this current is not getting limited, then it will result in damaging of our PN junction. And the maximum reverse current which can flow through our PN junction is our IR. IR is our maximum reverse bias current. This maximum reverse bias current IR is given as E minus VBR divided by R, where VBR is our breakdown voltage, E is considered as our bias voltage, and R is the resistance of the external circuit which is used to limit the current. If external circuit is not used, then the value of IR will be infinite, because R will be 0 and the value will be infinite. And if we have some external circuit to limit this current, then there will be some value of R and we will get the maximum value of your reverse current. Okay. If this reverse current is not limited, the junction will get damaged. It will get damaged due to the reverse current. Due to the reverse current, the junction will get overheat. Junction will get overheat because we know that heat is proportional to I square R, where I is the current. If this current is increasing so rapidly, if the value of current is continuously increasing, the heat generated will be very high, and this generated heat will overheat our device, and there is some maximum power rating of our junction. If a heat greater than maximum power rating is developed, then our device will get burned. So it will burn our device, and we will not be able to use our PN junction. Okay, so this is reverse breakdown. When we talk about this reverse breakdown, there are two type of mechanisms which are followed in our reverse breakdown. We will study both these mechanisms one by one. First of all, the first mechanism is our Zener mechanism, or we call it as Zener effect. Zener effect, Zener breakdown, or we can say Zener mechanism, all are same. Zener breakdown occurs when our breakdown voltage VBR, it is less than 4 volt. So we will say that Zener breakdown will occur at a voltage less than 4 volt. Okay. What happens during Zener breakdown? When a heavily doped PN junction is reverse biased, the energy band become cross. They will cross at low voltages. See, when the junction is unbiased, during unbiased condition, we have our energy diagram something like this. This is our conduction band, this is our valence band. This is of conduction band and valence band of p-type semiconductor, and these are our conduction band and valence band of n-type semiconductor, and these are our Fermi levels. Fermi level of valence band, and this is Fermi level of conduction band. This is Fermi level of p-type semiconductor, this will be Fermi level of n-type semiconductor. This is our case of unbiased condition. But when the junction is reverse bias, our band diagram changes something like this. Our band diagram becomes like this. We will see that these are again conduction and valence band of P, and these are conduction and valence of N. In this case, these are the Fermi levels. These are the Fermi levels during reverse biasing. Here we will see that the valence band, the from this this EV, this Fermi level, this is our Fermi level. From this Fermi level, the electron or hole can not hole, electron, the minority electron from the p-type semiconductor will tunnel. It will tunnel, tunnel, it will tunnel to the conduction band of n-type semiconductor. It will tunnel. We will see what is this tunneling. The crossing of band, when these band are crossed, the crossing of band align large number of empty states in the conduction band of n-type opposite to filled states of p side. Because we know that in energy band diagram there are different energy states. So in case of p-type semiconductor, there will be some energy states which will be filled. Similarly, in case of n-type semiconductor, there will be some energy states which are empty, which does not contain any electron or hole. And during this process, during crossing of your band, the empty states of n-type semiconductor align opposite to your filled states of p-type semiconductor. Okay, since the barrier separation is narrow, the electron tunneling process occur, and the electron from filled state, this filled state of p-type semiconductor will tunnel to the empty state of n-type semiconductor. This will result in reverse current, and the direction of reverse current will be from n side to p side. The current will flow from n to p. Why will it flow from n to p? Because the minority electron is tunneling from p to n, and the direction of current is opposite to direction of electron. So we will have this tunneling process, and there will be a reverse current which will flow from n to p. Okay, n side to p side. The probability of tunneling, when we are talking about tunneling, the probability of tunneling of electron depends upon the width of barrier. If the width of depletion region is very short, if the width of depletion is very short, the width of depletion region will be short when the doping is high. Okay, so if the junction is not abrupt, or we say if the junction have lightly doped part on either of the side, n side or p side, if the n side or p side of the junction is lightly doped, the width will increase, and this width will increase and there will be no tunneling. The width of depletion region will be narrow only when there is the doping is high. So for this tunneling process, this Zener breakdown process, it is necessary that the PN junction is made from heavily doped semiconductor. In case of lightly doped semiconductor, this Zener effect, this Zener breakdown will not occur. Okay, this is our Zener breakdown. We will try to understand Zener breakdown with the help of your covalent bonding model also. Okay, so we will deal with covalent bonding model. Okay, let's talk about covalent bond model. Covalent bond model. See, if our depletion region is narrow, with this narrow depletion region, the electric field strength which will be produced due to reverse bias voltage will be very high, because we know that the electric field is volt per centimeter. If the width is narrow, volt per centimeter. If this distance width is in centimeter, if this denominator decreases, then the overall fraction will increase. so the field strength, the electric field, will be very high. And due to heavily doping, more immobile ions will be created in the depletion region. Immobile ions means the positive and negative in your depletion region, which are immobile. Like if we talk about p-type semiconductor, in p-type semiconductor the immobile ion means your n-type electrons, and in case of n-type semiconductor your immobile is minority, that is holes. Okay, so this n and p, more number of electron and more number of holes, will be created in the depletion region. This high intensity of electric field will result in breaking away of electrons from their atoms. This high electric field will free the electrons from their atom, because we know that every atom have this nucleus and electron in outermost shell. These electrons are bounded to the atom by some force of attraction between nucleus and electron. Once this electric field is strong, it will overcome this force of attraction between nucleus and electrons, and these electrons will move away from the atom. They will break away from the atom. Okay, and we call this field as critical field. Critical, CRITICAL, critical field strength. At critical field strength, the electron will no longer participate in covalent bond. Why they will not participate in covalent bond? Because due to this critical field, these electrons have break away from the atom. If they are not a part of atom, they will not participate in covalent bond. Okay, and this electric field will accelerate these electrons, and they will move to the n side of the junction. Thus the depletion region will have some conductivity, because the electrons which are released from this atom, they will move to the n side. Why they will move to the n side? Because our n side is reverse bias. If so, n side have positive potential. If n side have positive potential, electrons will move towards the positive potential and they will move towards the n side. This will result in ionization of depletion region, and this effect is called Zener breakdown. The electric field which is required for the Zener breakdown should be in the order of 10 raised to the power 6 volt per centimeter. Electric field with this strength will result in your breakaway of electron, and it will result in Zener breakdown. If we increase the doping, what will happen if we increase the doping? If the doping is further increased, more number of electrons and holes are generated. They will be generated at n side and p side, because doping always increases majority charge carriers. So if doping is increased, majority charge carrier, that is electron, will be generated at the n side, and majority charge carrier, that is hole, will be generated at the p side. This will result in increase in field strength. Why will it increase the field strength? Because the charge carrier, the generated charge carrier, will start to flow. If this is our junction, this is our p, this is our n. Okay, electrons, due to increase in doping, electrons have generated here, and due to increase in doping, holes have generated. So due to the concentration gradient, these holes and electrons will again move, and due to this moving of electron and holes, the electric field will be created. One electric field was already there. Now this new electric field generated due to the flow of these carriers will add up to the previous field. As a result, the total electric field strength in the junction will increase, and this electric field will push the electron from n side to the p side, and the holes from p side towards n side, and the electron and holes will cross the junction. This will result in increase in current. So we will say that if doping is increased further, our reverse current will be increased further. Okay. When we talk about heavily doped junction, heavily doped, the recombination rate is very fast. Recombination rate is very fast. It is important that recombination rate is very fast. What is recombination rate? Recombination rate is the rate at which electron and holes are recombining together, and generation rate is the rate at which electron and holes are getting separated. So the recombination rate is very fast in heavily doped junction. So the free electrons will recombine with the holes at the n side, and it will become neutral. This will happen in case of heavily doped junction. Similarly, the generated hole will get recombined with the electron in the p side, and they will again recombine and become neutral. The width of depletion region will increase if the doping is light. How will it increase? Because in case of light doping, the recombination rate is slow. If the recombination rate is slow, the free electrons from n side will cross the junction and move to the holes at the p side before they recombine. Similarly, the holes from p side will cross the junction and meet the n side and reach the n side before they are recombined. This will result in increase in width of depletion region over the given period of time. So this shows us that the width of depletion region is very important factor in Zener breakdown, because we know that the tunneling will only happen when the depletion width is narrow, and the depletion width will be narrow when the PN junction is heavily doped. If PN junction is lightly doped, the width of depletion region will be large, and if the width of depletion region is large, then there will be no tunneling of electron. If there is no tunneling of electron, there will be no Zener effect. Okay, so for Zener breakdown, it is necessary that the PN junction is made from heavily doped semiconductor. This is our Zener effect. Now we will talk about avalanche breakdown. Avalanche breakdown is second mechanism of our second breakdown mechanism in our reverse bias junction, I mean. So the second mechanism is avalanche breakdown. Avalanche breakdown. Avalanche breakdown occurs in lightly doped junctions. See, in lightly doped PN junction, the tunneling effect of electron is negligible, because the electron cannot tunnel if the width is large. So the breakdown occurs due to impact ionization. Impact ionization process. So in case of tunneling, the breakdown is due to impact ionization process, and in case of Zener, the breakdown was due to tunneling. So it will happen due to the impact ionization. Impact ionization is the process of knocking out, KNOCK, knock. It is a process of knocking out electrons and holes by high energy charge carriers. When the electric field in the depletion region is large, electrons from p side will get enough energy to accelerate, and with this kinetic energy it will knock out another electron. Consider this, if this is our p-type and n-type semiconductors, p-type and n-type semiconductors, due to reverse bias the depletion region is large. Okay, so in case of our if this is our depletion region, let us consider we have this electron and hole pair. We have electron and hole pair in our depletion region. This is our pair. So if this electric field is large, the minority electron from the p side, if there will be some minority electron, this minority electron from the p side will accelerate due to the electric field. Electric field will provide energy to this electron on the p side, and it will strike this electron hole pair in the depletion region. Due to striking of this electron with at the this electron hole pair, the kinetic energy of electron will be used to break this electron hole pair, and it will result in generation of electron from this electron hole pair, and this coming electron from p side will also reach to the another side, and this generated hole will move towards your p side. Why hole will move towards the p side? Because hole is positively charged, and it will move to our this negative side. Since p is connected to negative during reverse biasing, so the hole will move towards the negative terminal, that is on p side, and the electron which is being knocked out from this electron hole pair will move towards your n side. Why it will move towards n side? Because n side is connected to positive potential, so the electron with negative charge will move towards your positive potential. Okay, so this interaction will result in increase in carrier concentration. With single electron striking a electron hole pair, we will get one electron and one hole plus the electron which have strike the electron hole pair. The electron and hole which are being generated will be swept away. The electron will be swept to the n side and the hole will be swept to the p side. Okay, the degree of excitation will be high if the generated carrier within the depletion region undergo ionizing collision. Okay, if the generated carrier within the depletion region, the carrier which is generated within the depletion region, if it again undergoes collision, then the excitation will be high. The minority electron from p side, will get kinetic energy from the reverse bias voltage, and it will strike with the electron hole pair in the depletion region. Okay, now what will happen? The incoming electron, which was coming from your p side, the minority electron, this incoming electron may collide with the electron hole pair. If this is our junction, let us suppose this is p side, this is n side, there will be a number of electron hole pairs. So let us consider we have one electron hole pair, we have another electron hole pair, and we have one electron hole pair here, and we have one electron. This is our incoming electron. This incoming electron will collide with this electron hole pair. When it will collide, it will knock this electron, and the electron will move towards our n side. Okay, this electron and plus the incoming electron both will be swept towards the n side. Fine. Now this hole which was knocked from this electron hole pair will move towards the p side. While moving towards the p side, it may collide with this electron hole pair also. If it will collide with this electron hole pair, it will again release one electron and one hole from this electron hole pair. The released or knocked out hole will again swap towards p side, and the generated electron will move towards n side. Now this generated electron, while moving towards n side, may again strike with this electron hole pair. This will again result in electron moving towards your n side and hole moving towards your p side. Thus we will see that a single incoming electron with sufficient energy will trigger this process, and this process will continue. Okay, this process of knocking off electrons will continue, and we will call it as impact ionization within the depletion region. Fine. This process will carry on. This process goes on, and a large number of new carriers will be generated, and this generation of new carriers will result in increase of current, and this is known as avalanche effect. Okay, so this is our avalanche effect. This is our avalanche breakdown. Fine. So comparing both the breakdown, we will say that the Zener breakdown occurs at low voltage, approximately 4 volt. Avalanche occurs at higher voltage, greater than 4 volt. Zener will occur for heavily doped materials, and avalanche will occur for lightly doped materials. Zener effect occurs due to tunneling, and avalanche effect occurs due to impact ionization. Zener effect does not destroy our junction completely. Avalanche effect will destroy our junction completely. Okay, so this is avalanche effect. Now we will analyze this avalanche multiplication. So our next topic is analysis of avalanche multiplication. It is simple, very simple topic, but just it is based on some fact and some mathematics. Okay, avalanche multiplication. Let us assume that the electron or hole has a probability p. Electron or hole has a probability p of undergoing the collision at a distance w in the depletion region. Okay, p is the probability of collision and w is the distance at which our collision is taking place. Now we consider that n in is the number of incoming electrons which are coming from p side towards the n side, which will strike the electron hole pair in our depletion region. So n in is the number of incoming electrons. If n in is the number of electrons entering from the p side, then the total number of collision will be n in multiplied by p, because p is the probability and n is the number of electrons. So the total number of collision will be probability multiplied by number of incoming electrons. So this will be the number of collision, and we know that during each collision one electron and one hole will be generated. Okay, so if we say that n in into p is the total number of collision, then after all these collisions we will have increased number of charge carriers. The number of electrons will become, n in was the original number because n in was the number of incoming electrons. How many electrons will be generated? It will be equal to n in into p. Why? Because we know that one collision will result in generation of one electron, two collision will result in generation of two electron, three collision will result in generation of three electron. Similarly, n in into p number of collisions will result in n in into p number of holes, n in into p number of electrons. So the total number of electrons will become n in plus p times of n in, or I can write it as n in into 1 plus p. Fine. Now this n in into 1 plus p, this is new number. Now n in into 1 plus p, number of electrons will again undergo collision, and the number of collision will be again p times of this thing, So this process goes on. Again, the number of electrons will continue to increase. The number of electrons and holes will both continue to increase. If we say that n out is the total number of electrons after collision, n out okay, we say that n out is the total number of electrons after collision, then n out will be n in times of 1 plus p after first collision, then p square after second round of collision, then p cube plus at the third round of collision, plus p की power 4 after the fourth round of collision, and this process will goes on up to infinite. Okay, so this becomes a series, and we represent n out upon n in as electron concentration. The electron concentration will be total number of output electrons divided by input electrons. If we say Mn represents electron concentration, then it will be given as n out divided by n in. So the value of n out was this equation. So I can write it as n in into 1 plus p square plus p cube up to so on, and divided by n in. So n in will get cancel out, and we can write that the electron concentration Mn will be equals to, this is our series, and the sum of this series is given as 1 upon 1 minus p. So this will be our electron concentration. Okay, where p is probability. If the probability of collision is approximately equals to 1, because we know that every electron which will be knocked out in the depletion region will again collide with another electron hole pair. So if the probability of collision p is 1, if the probability of collision p is approximately 1, then the electron concentration Mn will become 1 upon 1 minus 1, that will be 1 upon 0, that means infinite. If infinite number of electrons are available, the current will increase infinitely. There will be no limit at the current. Okay, so we will get infinite current across the device, across the PN junction, and our junction will get destroyed. Fine. So this is our avalanche multiplication. This is all from our reverse bias topic.